The best examples of lies can be found there. To me, social media is the worst menace to society. The mosques are our barracks, the domes are helmets, the minarets are bayonets, and the faithful are soldiers. I don't want to use the term nuclear weapons because those people in Iran who have authority say they are not building nuclear weapons. I make an appeal to the countries who do have nuclear weapons. They don't consider them a nuclear threat. But let's say a country that doesn't have nuclear weapons gets involved in building them. Then they are told by those that already have nuclear weapons that they oppose such a development. Where is the justice in that? If we look at history, we will see that regimes which persecute their people do not remain standing. However, democracy cannot be defined as the existence of parliaments and elections alone. As a politician who cherishes religious conviction in his personal sphere, but regards politics as a domain belonging outside religion, I believe that this view is seriously flawed. There is no moderate or immoderate Islam. Islam is Islam and that's it. Even in the Western world, one cannot argue that the ideal has been achieved, given the existence of issues like the integration, participation, and representation of Muslim citizens, and occasional, but lingering anti-Semitism. I went back in British history. Some 204 people died. Thereafter a mine collapsed in 1838. In 1866, 361 miners died in Britain. In an explosion in 1894, 290 people died there. These are usual things. There are people who say that Ga 1/4 can't be my president. These people don't have good manners, and they should renounce their Turkish citizenship. Foremost, this man will be chosen democratically by the people. You cannot put women and men on an equal footing. It is against nature. They were created differently. Their nature is different. She should not laugh loudly in front of all the world and should preserve her decency at all times. They came to me with this case of Twitter ignoring case of smeared housewife. There exists an unmistakable demand in the Middle East and in the wider Muslim world for democratization. I regard the endorsement of both the objective and a method, which can differ from one country to another, of democratization by the parties in the region, as a basic requisite of democratization in the Middle East. There exists an unmistakable demand in the Middle East and in the wider Muslim world for democratization. Invariably, also a Palestinian state should live side by side with Israel within recognized and secure borders, and the security and prosperity of the Palestinian people must be guaranteed. We'll eradicate Twitter. I don't care what the international community says. Everyone will witness the power of the Turkish Republic. There is now a scourge that is called Twitter. The best examples of lies can be found there. To me, social media is the worst menace to society. They came to me with this case of Twitter ignoring case of smeared housewife. I said, let's solve this. Our religion has defined a position for women in society, motherhood. Some people can understand this, while others can't. You cannot explain this to feminists because they don't accept the concept of motherhood. Forsake alcohol, eat grapes instead. Similarly, gender equality, supremacy of law, political participation, civil society, and transparency are among the indispensable elements that are the imperatives of democratization. Even as we ought to accept that each country would progress with a different method and speed toward that goal, the standard for the expected end state should not be lowered. I am aware of the thesis that the United States has long since invested exclusively in stability, and this has obviated democratic transformation in the Middle East. Everyone should unconditionally accept that Israel is an indispensable element of the Middle Eastern mosaic. In other words, the bar should be maintained at the level of a pluralistic and participatory democracy. My visit to the United States has also given me the opportunity to emphasize the objective of establishing close and intensive links between the Turkish and American peoples, scholars and businessmen. The Muslim world, and its subset the countries of the Middle East, have been left behind in the marathon of political, economic and human development. For that, there is a tendency to blame others as the primary cause. But foremost, I do not subscribe to the view that Islamic culture and democracy cannot be reconciled. A confidence problem exists on the part of the people of the region who desire democratic rule in principle, but remain suspicious of both the fashion with which democratization is presented and the purposes of the democratic world. It is essential that policy instruments be developed that would firmly establish democratization on the basis of social consensus and enable transformation on stable grounds. Paramount is the need to secure human rights. The form of rule should be such that the citizen does not have to fear the state, but gives it direction and confidently participates in its administration. The US and the European Union needs to help in the translation of the demand for democracy into a political will. A fitting external security environment could also play an important role in promoting social consensus and institutionalization towards democratization. We are against the majority tyrannizing the minority. But we are definitely against the minority tyrannizing the majority. It is impossible to preserve my friendship with people who are allegedly leaders when they are attacking their own people, shooting at them, using tanks and other forms of heavy weaponry. Several experts on the Middle East concur that the Middle East cannot be democratized. There is a trouble called Twitter. The finest lies are here. Nowadays, social media is actually the headache of societies. Cave of the Patriarchs and Rachel's tomb were not and never will be Jewish sites.